evil, divisiveness, infiltration, murder, systemic oppression, systemic racism, white America, the America that we live in today. What's up, everybody? Thank you so much for coming to Kick It with Kyle. I'm Kyle, and this is Petty Critiques, where I tell you my critiques of the movies that I watch. Last night, my wife and I watched Judas and the Black Messiah on HBO Max. I don't have any critiques of this movie, mainly because it's one of those movies that you feel, especially as a black person. So I just want to start just talking about the acting. I think that the acting was phenomenal. LaKieth Stanfield did an amazing job. I really enjoy his acting. I liked him. He had that role in Get Out, his reoccurring role in Atlanta, and there's a few other things I've seen him in, and I love his acting. I appreciated Daniel Kaluuyah and his acting. I thought, like, man, he got that thing down pat. Um, the way that he spoke, he did a phenomenal job as well. He got the accent down, the drag of the words down. He did his thing, and I appreciate his acting, man. The range that he has, he Get Out, his role in Black Panther, and then seeing him in this. Those are actually the only three movies I've seen him in so far. Um, but I think he's doing a phenomenal job, and just shows the range of his acting. Dominique Fishback, I thought she was really good too. There was aspects of her character, not her character. Let me not say that, because she's a real person. Deborah Johnson. There were times where she reminded me of my wife. The part where she comes in and they, her and Fred haven't started dating at all, but she's talking about how he needs to be more prepared with his speeches. He could do better. That reminds me of my wife. So I'm a pastor, right? So my wife is every now and then she'll hear me preach, or hear me, saying, talk about some things, and she'll look at me and she give me that look, and then later on we get to the house, she's like, you could have studied more. You know what I'm saying? You could have read a little bit more. You could have took more time on that. And that's just black women, man. They push you to be better. They support you. They hold you down. I thought her character was amazing. Even the scene where she is spoiler alert, obviously, where the police bust into the house, and she's covering Fred. It definitely brought like a little tear from my eye, man. Like, those scenes were definitely emotional. I want to talk about Jesse Plemons real quick. I think he doesn't get the credit he deserves for his acting, man. He does tend to always play the bad guy, right? He always, or the guy that turns into being the bad guy. But I do appreciate his acting, man, because it fits every scenario. It fits every scenario. Watching him play Roy Mitchell really reminded me of the character that he played in Breaking Bad. Just that evil, observant, evil guy. Algie Smith was in this movie. Um, he did a great job. Remember him from the New Edition story. He did a great job. Everybody did a good job in this movie. Did a really good job. So that's the acting for me. The plot. I mean the I want to call it a plot because it's something that really actually happened in real life. But the story highlights the ascension of Fred Hampton, um, and it really kind of goes from there. Like, as he has become the chairman of the Black Panther Party for the state of Illinois, how he is really for the people. You know what I'm saying? He's for the people. Um, he's for the people, and that's his thing. On Eyes of the Prize 2, which I watched this morning, um, you have somebody who was around to hear him speak, and basically said that speech that he gives, where he says, "Am I gonna die slipping on ice? Nah, I'm gonna die for the people, because I live for the people, because I love the people. I live for the people. I'm high on the people." And that those things were very motivating. To see. They're motivating to see, especially when you think about, man, this dude is 21 years old or 20 years old, and he died. He's murdered. He's assassinated at 21. But at 20 years old, this brother is knowledgeable, man. Like, he's knowledgeable about his value, about his worth, um, but realizing that his value and his worth is tied to fighting for the betterment of his community, of his brothers and sisters. I thought it was amazing, man, that a young a young boy, man, a young guy would have that mindset. And when I watched Eyes on the Prize too, it made sense. So I didn't know that much about Fred Hampton. I knew that he fought for Black liberation. I knew that he was murdered and assassinated by the police. I knew that um, out of the 99 bullets that they found on the scene at his home, only one of the bullets showed that it came from the side of the Black Panthers. Um, I knew that he had breakfast programs, um, and I knew that there was infiltration by the FBI from J. Edgar Hoover, but I didn't know to what level. Um, Obviously, when you say J. Edgar Hoover, um, you really can't put a level on that. That was just a completely evil guy, evil man. You know, very evil. You know that as the movie kind of talked about, and as we know from history, you know, the real history, that he did a lot of damaging things to take down some of the biggest and brightest uh, voices and minds within the Black community. People like Malcolm X, people like Martin Luther King, people like Huey, people like obviously Fred Hampton, and so many others. Watching this movie as an African American um, just reminded me how invested white America is to shut down Black voices, and that the biggest fear of white America is the unity of Black people, brown people, and white people. That the biggest threat to white America is the unity of Black people. You know, you see that, you know, in the movie where they talk about the time that Fred Hampton went to kind of connect with another gang that was fighting for liberation, man, and how they literally sent letters. They sent letters to try to the other leader, to the leader of the other gang, um, to try to make it seem as if Fred had put a hit out on dude, you know, and try to literally break down uh, that connection because they're scared of Black unity. Um, you know, um, it was interesting that not only did Fred connect with people that looked like him, like the street gangs, the other gangs, the other Black gangs, but he pulled in the Latin Kings and he pulled in the white folk um, who were fighting for white supremacy. Like it's crazy that he connected all these people and it became um, sort of like a poor people's coalition, um, which is what Martin Luther King was working on right before he was assassinated, the Poor People's March. And and it's just again, man, it just kind of shows, man, just um, how powerful we can be if we come together, but also how fearful um, the powers that be are of the minority uniting. It's interesting, you know, that anytime Black people have uh, guns, white people get afraid. The Black Panther Party, they carried guns. They believed in Second Amendment. They believed for the right to bear arms. When you hear the comments that white politicians, white news anchors um, said about the Black Panther Party carrying weapons, they asked the question, why do they need that? What's the purpose of that? And they assumed that the reason they had guns was to do some nefarious activities. And it's always interesting when you compare that to when white people have guns. No one asked them, why do you have this? No one asked them, um, what are you doing? Why? What's the purpose of this? No one asks. No one thinks that they're going to do nefarious activity, even though they consistently show us that that's what they do. I don't know. For me, the movie was it was a highlight on something that we all know, um, something that the Black community understands very well. Um, Black person begins to educate themselves on the reality of the system in which they live in. Black person is motivated, um, by other great Black voices and minds. Black person begins to um, work in their community and educate others. Black person begins to care for the young generations coming up and educating them. Black person develops a movement. Black person becomes a threat. Black person is assassinated. That's our reality as Black people in America. Um, the acting was amazing in this movie. Um, the story was a familiar one. Powerful movie. Powerful, true story that needs to be told. I appreciate the fact that they made this movie. I'm definitely going to show my son this when he gets of age. Right now, he's still in my wife's stomach, but um, it's definitely something that I'm going to show him because he needs to know the world in which he lives. Needs to know the world in which he lives. Um, None of the police officers um, saw any prison time, any jail time, got convicted of any crime, which I mean is how it normally happens. Um, yeah, the takeaway from the movie to me is we have a responsibility um, to uplift our community. We have a responsibility to do the work where we are. Um, Nipsey Hussle, that's what I thought about watching this movie. Nipsey um, was somebody who was influenced heavily by Fred Hampton, um, and the work that Nipsey was doing in his community um, reminds me of some of the work that Fred was doing in his community. Nipsey was focused on his hood. Fred Hampton was focused on his city. Black people everywhere, but he started with his city. The takeaway for me is, man, I gotta get active in my city. You know what I mean? I gotta make sure that the young kids in my city understand that they're valued, understand that they're loved, understand that um, their life matters. I gotta make sure that I'm not just texting and tweeting, but I'm actually outside working for the betterment of my brothers and sisters. Um, for me, it's youth, right? That's my passion area, and so I need to make sure that I'm making an impact where I am. This dude was 21 years old when he was assassinated, um, and he did more in his 21 years than most of us do in our entire lives. Um, so the takeaway for me is be the Messiah. Be the Messiah in your community. And I'm not saying that, like, listen, I'm a pastor, and I'm not saying that as a sacrilegious way, but like, be the savior, man, for somebody in your community through education, through empowerment, through equipping with resources, with tools, with knowledge. Be the Messiah in your community. For Kyle, for me, be the Messiah in my community. Um, because the only way that we're going to move forward, the only way we're going to continue to let our voices be heard, the only way that we're going to empower the next generation and the generation after that and really change um, our communities, our cities, our states is by going outside and doing the work. Um, so, what do I rate this movie? This is definitely something um, that I'm gonna support. Um, this is definitely something I'm gonna go by. Um, these are things that I think that we need to keep talking about. Obviously, like I said, I'm gonna show my son this when he gets to the age that we start having that conversation about um, race and those type things. It's definitely something that I needed to see. Um, I give it 5 stars, man. I give it 5 stars. The acting I thought was amazing. The storytelling I thought was amazing. The script was great. Um, Music was great. Is it something that I'll watch again? I watch it again with my son. I watched it again with my son. Um, it's one of those movies as a black person is very triggering, um, but needed, right? But needed. So this is Petty Critiques, um, and I just watched Judas and the Black Messiah. Peace.